Venus will transit through Cancer from August 21st to September 15th, 2025. It's important to highlight that these interpretations are based on Sidereal or Vedic Astrology, which considers a roughly 24-degree variance from the tropical zodiac. Venus, the planet of love, beauty, relationships, pleasure, harmony, and wealth, takes on the nurturing and protective qualities of Cancer, a sign ruled by the moon. This combination emphasizes emotional security, domestic harmony, and the desire for deeper bonds with loved ones. Unlike Venus in fiery or airy signs, where love is often expressed dramatically or socially, Venus in Cancer is more subtle, private, and rooted in care. It is the energy of showing love through protection, emotional support, and creating a safe environment for oneself and others. During this period, relationships are tested not on passion or material gain alone but on the ability to provide comfort, loyalty, and a sense of belonging. This transit unfolds against a powerful astrological backdrop, which gives it far more intensity than a typical 25-day Venus cycle. The Sun is simultaneously transiting its own sign of Leo, forming a conjunction with Ketu, and triggering eclipse season. The total lunar eclipse on September 7th in Aquarius, and the solar eclipse on September 21st in Virgo, add a karmic and transformative quality to this time. Eclipses always bring revelations, closures, and shifts in life direction, and with Venus transiting Cancer in the midst of this, matters of love, family, finance, and emotional well-being are especially highlighted. People may feel called to re-examine their closest relationships and ask themselves whether these truly provide the nourishment they seek. Attachments that are superficial or imbalanced could face strain, while connections based on genuine care and understanding will deepen. Venus's conjunction with Mercury in Cancer from August 21st to August 30th adds another layer to this period. Mercury is about communication and intellect, while Venus governs harmony and affection. When they meet in the emotionally driven sign of Cancer, conversations can become tender, heartfelt, and more vulnerable. It is a time when people may express feelings they have been holding back, share their needs with loved ones, or even revisit old memories and unresolved emotions. On the flip side, this same energy can lead to misunderstandings if communication becomes overly emotional or reactive. Words may be tinged with sensitivity, and small issues could be taken to heart more than usual. By August 30th, when Mercury moves into Leo, Venus continues to hold space in Cancer, keeping the emotional tone alive but without Mercury's influence. Cancer Lord Moon and Venus are not natural friends in Vedic astrology. This often translates into a sense of dissatisfaction in love and relationships. People may long for a kind of ideal emotional connection that is difficult to manifest in reality. As a result, even in loving relationships, there can be a feeling of something missing. This doesn't mean that Venus in Cancer is negative. Rather, it challenges people to look inward and assess what kind of emotional support they need and how much of that they can give themselves instead of seeking it entirely from others. At its best, Venus in Cancer brings out unconditional love, devotion to family, and the ability to create a peaceful and beautiful home environment. At its most challenging, it can foster dependency, insecurity, or unrealistic expectations in relationships. Financially, Venus in Cancer tends to direct energy toward home and family expenses. People may feel inclined to invest in property, home improvements, or comforts that enhance security and peace of mind. Purchases during this time often reflect emotional needs, things that make life feel more secure and nurturing rather than materialistic indulgences. Relationships are perhaps the most strongly influenced area during this transit. Venus in Cancer draws attention to the role of emotional support in partnerships. Couples may feel the need to nurture each other more, spend time together at home, or deal with family responsibilities as a unit. For those who are single, there may be a longing for a partner who feels safe and protective, someone who embodies the qualities of care and devotion. Yet with Ketu influencing the Sun in Leo and eclipses active, there may also be sudden shifts in relationship dynamics. Some may feel detached from existing bonds, realizing that emotional fulfillment is lacking, while others may find karmic connections resurfacing. This is why the eclipse period is not recommended for making permanent commitments, but is instead a time for reflection, emotional clarity, and understanding where attachments need strengthening or release. Spiritually, Venus in Cancer is an invitation to rediscover love in its purest form, the love that heals, comforts, and nourishes without conditions. It encourages reconnecting with family traditions, spending time with elders, or even engaging in self-care practices that soothe the emotional body. Meditation, creative pursuits, and spending time in nature can help balance the emotional intensity of this transit. Since Venus represents what we love to do, this is also an excellent time to engage in hobbies that bring comfort, such as cooking, music, or art. Venus represents love and activities that bring joy. As Venus transits through different houses for approximately 25 days, it signifies an increased inclination towards activities associated with that specific house. The final outcomes may vary based on the dignity of Venus in the birth chart, but the common thread is an affinity towards engagements related to the house Venus is currently transiting. Venus primarily influences the Moon and Mercury and is relatively susceptible to the influence of malefic planets such as the Sun, Mars, Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu. To accurately assess the impact of these transits, it is crucial to consider your ascendant and moon signs. The ascendant sign offers insights into the timing of life events, while the moon sign reveals how you will emotionally respond to these changes. Take into account the position of your current Mahadasha Lord in your birth chart, as it can shed light on how these transits will influence the recurring themes of your current Dasha period. This transit may manifest differently for each individual, and how they navigate this transit will depend on their personal charts. A more precise understanding of the impact of this transit can be gained by examining Venus's Ashtaka Varga score in Cancer. Keep in mind that the effects of this transit are contingent on Venus's interaction with the planets in individual birth charts. It's also worth noting that individuals currently experiencing the influence of Venus Dasha may feel the effects of this transit more intensely. To understand how this transit may affect you based on your zodiac sign and the houses it transits, let's delve into those specifics. For Aries, Venus governs both the second and the seventh houses. The second house is the domain of family, wealth, accumulated resources, and speech, while the seventh house represents marriage, partnerships, and long-term commitments. As Venus moves through Cancer, it enters your fourth house of domestic life, home environment, inner peace, motherly connections, and property. This combination immediately brings themes of family and relationships into the spotlight, emphasizing the need for emotional security and balance between your inner world and outer partnerships. Since Venus in Cancer tends to function through nurturing and attachment, you may feel more drawn to spending time at home, improving your living environment, or seeking comfort and emotional nourishment through loved ones. This transit highlights your longing for stability and deeper connections, both in personal relationships and in domestic settings. The energy of Venus in the fourth house often manifests as a desire to beautify your home or invest in property. You may feel motivated to renovate, redecorate, or make changes that bring peace and harmony into your domestic space. Since Venus rules your second house of wealth, there can also be a financial focus during this period. Spending may increase on household items, vehicles, or land-related matters. At the same time, Venus's rulership of the seventh house ensures that decisions concerning home or family are deeply tied to partnerships. If you are married, you may discuss plans for property or home relocation with your spouse. If you are single, you may find yourself reflecting on the kind of emotional security you truly desire in a partner. Relationships, especially marriage, may become strongly tied to family responsibilities and domestic stability during this phase. This otherwise gentle and emotional Venus transit unfolds under turbulent times. The Sun is moving through Leo, its own sign, and joins Ketu, the planet of detachment, which already creates a complex energy around authority, ego, and self-expression. For you, this conjunction occurs in your fifth house, the domain of creativity, romance, education, and children. With Ketu obscuring the Sun, clarity in matters of love and self-expression may feel blocked. You may question your romantic involvements, reevaluate relationships, or feel detached from your creative drive. Since the fifth house also represents children, you may notice shifting family responsibilities or feel a sense of distance in the parent-child dynamic. Combined with Venus in your fourth house, this influence pushes you to confront where emotional fulfillment is missing and to seek deeper meaning in your attachments. The total lunar eclipse on September 7th in Aquarius further intensifies this period. This eclipse occurs in your 11th house, the area of friendships, social networks, long-term aspirations, and gains. With Rahu joining the Moon here, there is a sudden surge of energy around social circles and goals, but the eclipse also brings moments of truth. Certain friendships or associations may undergo shifts, and illusions regarding who truly supports your ambitions may be revealed. Since the 11th house is connected to gains and achievements, you may experience fluctuations in income or feel uncertain about the stability of your financial progress. Yet this same eclipse energy can also help you see where you have been overly dependent on external validation, urging you to reorient your goals towards something more emotionally fulfilling. Venus in Cancer, highlighting your fourth house of inner stability, serves as a reminder that true peace cannot come solely from achievements or social approval but must be cultivated within your home and heart. Adding to this dynamic atmosphere, your ruling planet Mars is transiting Virgo during this period, until September 13th. Virgo represents your 6th house, which deals with work routines, service, health, and conflicts. Mars in the 6th house gives you a surge of energy to tackle responsibilities, compete effectively, and overcome obstacles. It is a productive placement, but it also brings heightened stress levels if not managed well. Since Venus is simultaneously transiting your 4th house, you may feel a pull between professional demands and the need to rest, nurture, and maintain emotional stability. On September 13th, Mars moves into Libra, your 7th house, where it directly activates matters of marriage and partnerships. This shift can make relationships more passionate and dynamic, but also more argumentative if there are underlying frustrations. This is an important moment for you, because Mars, as your chart ruler, energizes the house that Venus governs. Partnerships will demand attention, and depending on the state of your relationship, this can either strengthen bonds or create conflict. During this entire period, relationships stand out as a key theme. Venus in Cancer softens your usual fiery nature, making you more empathetic and emotionally available. This is a favorable time for expressing affection to your partner, spending quality time at home together, and healing past emotional rifts. At the same time, the Sun, Ketu conjunction in your 5th house and the eclipse in your 11th house caution you against ignoring underlying tensions. You may feel as though you are being forced to choose between romance and long-term commitments, or between personal desires and family responsibilities. It is also possible that karmic patterns around love, friendships, and emotional attachment resurface during this transit. Your challenge is to not react impulsively but instead reflect on where your deepest emotional needs lie. Finances during this period are closely linked to property and partnerships. Venus's rulership of your 2nd house ensures that family resources and accumulated wealth are emphasized. For some of you, this may be a time of investments in real estate or discussions around joint finances with a spouse. Yet with other transits influencing, there can also be unexpected expenses or sudden shifts in financial plans. The advice for you during this period is to avoid impulsive financial decisions, especially around the dates of the eclipses, and instead wait until clarity returns. Practicality is essential, even though Venus in Cancer may tempt you to spend on comfort and emotional satisfaction. Health and emotional well-being are also influenced under this sky. With Mars activating your 6th house until September 13th, you may feel compelled to push yourself at work or in physical activity, but stress-related issues and overexertion could arise. Venus in your 4th house reminds you of the importance of rest, relaxation, and nurturing routines. Emotional health is especially important during this period, as the eclipses can heighten sensitivity and trigger old insecurities. Practices such as meditation, spending time with family, and creating a peaceful home environment can help stabilize the emotional turbulence. Ultimately, the transit of Venus through Cancer in your 4th house is a lesson in grounding. While your fiery nature is always inclined toward action, ambition, and outward movement, Venus here calls for an inward focus. It asks you to nurture yourself, to seek emotional fulfillment in family bonds, and to create a sense of inner peace that can withstand the chaos of external events. This period, therefore, is not only about love or wealth but about creating balance between your inner and outer worlds. You are called to integrate your ambitions with your need for emotional security, to reconcile your personal desires with family responsibilities, and to find stability amidst turbulent times. For Taurus, the transit of Venus through Cancer marks a deeply significant phase, especially since Venus is the ruling planet of Taurus itself. As Venus governs both the 1st house of self and identity and the 6th house of daily work, service, health, and conflicts, its movement into the 3rd house of communication, courage, siblings, short journeys, and self-effort highlights a dynamic period where personal expression, relationships with siblings, and the courage to pursue new directions take focus. Being in Cancer, a sign ruled by the moon, Venus here operates with a nurturing, sensitive, and emotionally expressive quality. This combination makes you more inclined toward heartfelt communication, affectionate bonds with siblings and neighbors, and a desire to channel your creativity into writing, teaching, or artistic pursuits. The 3rd house is also associated with initiative and skills, and with Venus placed here, you may feel the urge to develop new talents, learn something new, or take bold steps in creative ventures that require both courage and passion. The surrounding planetary influences intensify this period. The Sun will be transiting Leo, conjunct Ketu, which highlights the 4th house of home, inner peace, and emotional foundations. This Sun, Ketu conjunction represents the beginning of eclipse season and can temporarily obscure clarity regarding home, property matters, or your sense of emotional stability. With Venus activating the third house while the Sun and Ketu influence the fourth, you may experience a pull between external expression and internal retreat. On one hand, Venus encourages socializing, connecting, and learning. On the other hand, Sun, Ketu in Leo demands introspection and detachment, especially in matters concerning family and domestic life. The result could be a period where you are rethinking family dynamics, redefining your role within the household, or even considering relocation, renovations, or changes in the living environment. The total lunar eclipse on September 7, 2025, occurring in Aquarius, further amplifies these themes for you. Aquarius falls in the 10th house of career, authority, and public reputation, and with the moon joining Rahu there, significant shifts are expected in the professional area. This eclipse may bring sudden changes in career direction, new opportunities, or revelations regarding authority figures and workplace dynamics. For you, the 10th house eclipse interacting with Venus in the 3rd house suggests that communication, networking, and the ability to skillfully present yourself will play a decisive role in navigating professional transitions. You might feel a sudden urge to step into leadership roles, take bold initiatives at work, or pursue careers that allow you to express your creativity and communication skills. Eclipses often bring both opportunities and disruptions, so it is advisable for you to avoid impulsive career moves during this time and instead wait for the eclipse energies to settle before making concrete decisions. On the personal front, Venus in the 3rd house brings warmth and affection in relationships with siblings and close relatives. You may feel drawn to reconnecting with family members, resolving old disputes, or supporting siblings in their endeavors. Venus's placement in the 3rd house could also enhance communication within romantic or marital relationships. Heart-to-heart conversations may flow more naturally, allowing you to express emotions more openly and build intimacy. The Sun, Ketu conjunction in Leo and the eclipses indicate that some misunderstandings or emotional detachment may also arise, especially if there are unresolved issues tied to family or home. The key during this period is conscious communication, choosing words carefully and ensuring that emotional needs are understood and respected on both sides. Financially, this transit can encourage you to explore new avenues of income, particularly through communication-related fields, writing, business partnerships, or short-term projects. Since Venus is the natural significator of wealth and governs the 1st house, its placement in the 3rd house suggests gains through your own initiative, creativity, or networking efforts. You may also find financial opportunities connected with siblings, business collaborations, or even small-scale entrepreneurial efforts. Yet, with the eclipses activating the 10th house, it is important to manage finances wisely and avoid overextending resources until the planetary turbulence subsides. Health-wise, Venus's rulership of the 6th house means that matters related to lifestyle, routine, and overall well-being are activated during this transit. In the 3rd house, this could manifest as the need to pay attention to respiratory health, shoulders, arms, or issues related to stress from overwork or excessive multitasking. Since the 6th house also rules conflicts, you may need to exercise caution in how you handle disagreements, whether in personal life or at work. Venus in Cancer softens this area by promoting diplomacy and compassion, but with Mars transiting Virgo, the 5th house, until September 13th and then moving into Libra, the 6th house, the potential for friction or overexertion cannot be overlooked. Mars's shift into Libra directly energizes the 6th house, indicating a phase where competition, workplace challenges, and health concerns could intensify, demanding greater balance and discipline. On a deeper spiritual and psychological level, this Venus transit invites you to reflect on how you express love and creativity through communication. Cancer's emotional depth encourages more heartfelt expressions, but it can also lead to mood-driven interactions. The eclipses bring karmic lessons, especially in balancing personal ambition with emotional security. You may find yourself questioning what truly fulfills you, whether career recognition, family harmony, or the courage to pursue new creative directions. It is a period of reassessing priorities, letting go of outdated expectations, and moving toward a more authentic way of expressing your identity and desires. Overall, Venus's transit through Cancer in the 3rd house brings you into a period of heightened communication, creative exploration, and emotional expression. It enhances relationships with siblings, deepens bonds through heartfelt conversations, and opens opportunities for skill development and short-term ventures. Yet, this period is layered with the complexity of eclipses and the Sun, Ketu conjunction, which may create temporary challenges in family matters, career direction, and emotional balance. With Mars adding intensity to health and work-related matters, you are encouraged to maintain clarity, avoid impulsive decisions during eclipses, and channel your efforts into meaningful communication and creative pursuits. By embracing patience, diplomacy, and a willingness to adapt, you can navigate this transit with grace and emerge stronger. For Gemini, Venus takes on the significant role of governing the 12th house of expenditure, foreign travels, spiritual liberation, and subconscious patterns, along with the 5th house of love, children, education, and creativity. As Venus transits the 2nd house of wealth, family, and speech, this period opens up a complex interplay between financial matters, emotional security, and expressions of love and creativity. The 2nd house represents stored wealth, speech, family lineage, values, and the way you nurture and sustain yourself. With Venus moving through this house, you may find yourself more drawn to beautifying your immediate surroundings, focusing on family harmony, and expressing your affection in nurturing ways. There is also an increased desire to build stability in both emotional and financial matters. Venus in Cancer here makes you more sentimental in how you handle money, family ties, and even professional interactions, preferring security over risk during this phase. The impact of this transit deepens when we consider the planetary climate surrounding it. The Sun is transiting Leo during this period, conjunct with Ketu, sparking eclipse season and causing a shift in personal identity, authority, and confidence across the collective. This Sun-Ketu conjunction is especially important for you since it happens in your 3rd house of communication, courage, and sibling dynamics. It may bring a temporary sense of detachment from self-expression, create challenges in sibling relations, or make you more inwardly focused. The total lunar eclipse on September 7th in Aquarius will occur in your 9th house of higher learning, dharma, and long-distance travel. This eclipse, happening with Moon conjunct Rahu, can trigger significant karmic shifts related to higher education, spiritual beliefs, or international pursuits. Since Venus rules your 12th house of foreign lands, its transit through the 2nd house and the concurrent eclipse in the 9th may highlight financial dealings with foreign countries, spending on education, or sudden events related to long-distance journeys. The presence of Mercury, your ruling planet, is another important factor to weigh in this transit. At the start of this period, Mercury is in Cancer itself, closely influencing Venus. This gives you a period where speech and communication become emotional, poetic, and nurturing but also more sensitive. Relationships with family members or partners may include heartfelt conversations, but you must be cautious of misunderstandings due to mood fluctuations. By August 30th, Mercury moves into Leo, joining the Sun-Ketu conjunction, and this can bring a more assertive but also conflicted tone in communications. You may feel the need to prove yourself, but clarity may be lacking during this stage. It is after September 15th, when Mercury enters Virgo, its exaltation sign, that you will feel the strongest clarity and confidence in your words and decisions. This timing becomes particularly relevant for financial discussions, professional contracts, and relationship dialogues. On the financial front, Venus transiting the 2nd house is generally auspicious, often bringing opportunities for wealth accumulation, investments in luxuries, or gains through family businesses. Since Venus also rules the 12th house, the desire to spend can be equally strong. You may find yourself indulging in comforts such as home decor, food, or even foreign goods. The influence of Cancer may make these expenditures emotionally motivated, spending to comfort yourself or your family. It is important during this phase to balance income and expenses, especially since the lunar eclipse in the 9th house could trigger unexpected travel or educational costs. There may also be karmic lessons about balancing material wealth with higher knowledge and spiritual growth, reminding you not to rely solely on financial security for peace of mind. In relationships, Venus's role as the 5th lord is extremely influential here. Its presence in the 2nd house suggests that love life, romance, and creativity will become closely linked with family dynamics and values. You may bring your partner into your family circle, or you may feel pressure from family expectations regarding love and marriage. This can be an emotional time in which you desire acceptance and harmony within the family setting. If you are married, this period could be particularly enriching for emotional bonding with your spouse. But since Venus is in Cancer, small disagreements over family matters or financial security may also arise. If you are in love, you may feel more sentimental and expressive in how you communicate with your partner, but you should guard against excessive sensitivity or the need for constant reassurance. Career and creative pursuits are also strongly affected. Since Venus rules the 5th house of creativity and children, its transit through the 2nd may encourage you to monetize your talents. Writers, artists, or those in creative industries may find their work gaining financial support during this time. The transit also favors speech-related professions such as teaching, writing, consulting, or media, since Venus adds charm and persuasiveness to communication. The Sun, Ketu conjunction in the third house suggests that some projects or communications may face delays or lack clarity until mid-September. After Mercury's entry into Virgo, you will feel much stronger in your ability to present ideas, negotiate, and execute creative plans. Health during this transit requires some attention, especially since the second house also relates to food and diet. Venus in Cancer may encourage indulgence in comfort foods, sweets, or emotionally driven eating habits. Since Venus also rules your 12th house of subconscious habits, you must be cautious about stress-related indulgences that could affect digestion or overall vitality. Meditation, balanced diet, and self-care can help counteract these tendencies. The lunar eclipse in the 9th house also suggests that mental peace may be disturbed by shifts in belief systems, long-distance connections, or educational pressures. A focus on grounding practices will help you maintain equilibrium during this time. Spiritually, this is a period of reconciling material desires with inner growth. Venus as 12th lord connecting with the second house prompts questions about what truly brings lasting security. Is it money, family ties, or inner peace? The lunar eclipse in the 9th house further emphasizes this spiritual reflection, potentially bringing a turning point in your belief system or philosophical outlook. You may feel drawn towards spiritual teachings, philosophy, or even pilgrimages that help you understand life's deeper meaning. While Venus in the second house increases material comforts, the simultaneous karmic transits remind you to cultivate non-material forms of security as well. Overall, Venus's transit through Cancer in the second house offers you a blend of financial opportunities, emotional bonding, and creative expression, while also bringing lessons about balance and maturity. The influence of Mercury's shifting signs, the Sun, Ketu conjunction, and the September lunar eclipse ensures that this period will not be without its challenges. If you remain mindful of your words, balance indulgence with prudence, and embrace both material and spiritual growth, this transit can become a powerful period of consolidation, healing, and long-term fulfillment. For Cancer, when Venus, the planet of love, harmony, beauty, and material comforts, transits through your first house, its effects are deeply personal and visible. The first house represents your personality, physical appearance, health, vitality, and overall approach to life. Having Venus here makes you more attractive, magnetic, and charming in the eyes of others. Since Venus rules your 4th and 11th houses, its transit into your first house brings together themes of home, inner peace, friendships, gains, recognition, and social networking, blending them with your identity. This creates a period when you may be more concerned about your appearance, emotional well-being, and how you are perceived in your personal and professional circles. Your desire to connect with people on a deeper level increase, and social opportunities become abundant. On a physical and emotional level, Venus in the first house enhances your charm and grace. You may naturally radiate beauty and warmth during this period, drawing attention wherever you go. The need to take care of your looks, grooming, and personal style becomes stronger. You may even invest in self-care routines, fashion, or changes in your appearance. This isn't merely superficial, it represents a stronger desire for self-expression. Since Venus also rules your 4th house of home, you may feel inclined to bring comfort, decoration, and luxury into your living environment. You may wish to create a soothing, harmonious atmosphere that reflects your inner state of peace and stability. Home renovation, redecorating, or even investing in real estate could also be a possibility, as Venus's influence encourages beautification and comfort. At the same time, Venus's rulership over your 11th house highlights social life, friendships, and gains. With Venus now transiting your first house, you may be more socially visible and attractive to new groups or networks. Opportunities for expansion through friends, acquaintances, and professional connections are likely. This can be a period of gaining recognition, appreciation, or even support from influential people. Social circles may play a key role in shaping future opportunities. Since the 11th house is also associated with aspirations and long-term desires, Venus's energy may inspire you to move closer to achieving your ambitions. Material benefits, financial growth, and emotional support from friends could flow more easily. However, be mindful of situations where envy or rivalry among peers emerges, particularly around the time of the September 7th lunar eclipse in Aquarius. The total lunar eclipse occurring in Aquarius, with the moon conjunct Rahu, is a major event. For you, this eclipse activates your 8th house. This house represents transformation, sudden changes, shared resources, and deep psychological patterns. The eclipse may bring revelations regarding joint finances, inheritances, investments, or matters of intimacy and trust. Emotional turbulence could arise, and hidden truths may surface, especially concerning relationships or financial dealings with others. Since Venus is transiting your first house during this eclipse, you may feel an internal push toward redefining your identity and how much you depend on others for emotional or material stability. This is a period of self-realization, where the balance between self-love and dependence on external validation becomes a central theme. The Sun conjunct Ketu in Leo further adds an interesting layer to this period. For you, this occurs in your second house of family, speech, finances, and values. The Sun represents authority and confidence, while Ketu brings detachment, spirituality, and an eclipse-like effect. This conjunction may lead to a sense of uncertainty or detachment from financial matters, family ties, or self-worth. You may feel a lack of clarity in relation to income or question your sense of value and belonging. Misunderstandings with family members, especially around money or responsibilities, could also arise. Yet, this period can also serve as an important step toward detaching from material insecurities and moving into a more spiritual or self-aware mode. Since Venus in your first house enhances self-expression and charm, it may help soften the effects of Sun, Ketu, allowing you to manage challenges with grace and diplomacy. Relationships during this transit become a key focus. Venus in the first house naturally increases your magnetism, attracting attention from potential romantic partners or deepening existing connections. Since Venus rules your 11th house of friendships, you may even find love through social circles or community events. If you are married, you may experience renewed warmth in your relationship, while singles may draw admirers who appreciate your emotional depth and charm. However, the eclipse energy can cause sudden shifts in relationships, perhaps revealing hidden truths or forcing you to rethink commitments. While Venus fosters closeness and bonding, Rahu's influence in the 8th house suggests caution against becoming too emotionally entangled or dependent on others. Professionally, this transit can bring growth in visibility and recognition. You may appear more confident and persuasive, making it easier to influence others. Venus ruling the 10th from your 4th house suggests a blending of professional success with satisfaction, meaning work-life balance becomes an important theme. Recognition for past efforts is possible, particularly from superiors or colleagues who admire your ability to bring harmony into workspaces. Since Venus also rules your 11th house, networking and professional associations may play an important role in career advancement. You could benefit from collaborations, partnerships, or opportunities introduced through influential contacts. Around the eclipse period, sudden changes in professional direction or unexpected shifts in team dynamics could arise, requiring patience and adaptability. Financially, Venus in your first house may encourage a desire for comfort, luxury, and self-indulgence. Spending on appearance, lifestyle, or home-related matters could increase. Since the Sun and Ketu are conjunct in your second house, you need to be cautious with financial decisions, as clarity may be lacking. Impulsive spending or misplaced trust in financial partnerships should be avoided, especially around early September. The eclipse energy may also create fluctuations in shared resources, investments, or debts, making this a time to stay disciplined with money. Spiritually and emotionally, this transit brings an important opportunity for self-discovery. Venus in your first house fosters love for yourself and others, but the eclipses and Ketu's influence urge you to detach from illusions and move toward deeper truths. There may be an awakening regarding your emotional patterns, attachment issues, or reliance on others for validation. If you embrace spiritual practices, meditation, or creative pursuits, you will find this transit especially rewarding, as Venus enhances artistic expression and inner peace. Overall, Venus's transit through your first house is a transformative period where self-expression, beauty, relationships, and social connections flourish, but you must navigate carefully due to other transits. You may find yourself at a turning point, redefining who you are, what you value, and how you want to present yourself to the world. This is a time to embrace both inner and outer beauty, strengthen your emotional resilience, and gracefully adapt to the changes the cosmos brings. For Leo, Venus assumes the role of an important functional planet because it governs both your 10th house of career, reputation, and karma, and your 3rd house of communication, courage, and initiatives. During its transit through your 12th house in Cancer, Venus takes on a deeply introspective and somewhat hidden role in your life. The 12th house represents foreign lands, spirituality, losses, expenditures, seclusion, and the subconscious mind. When a planet like Venus, which carries charm, relationships, material comforts, and creativity, enters this subtle and spiritual domain, it produces a unique blend of results. For you, this is a time of balancing outer ambitions with inner growth, as Venus shifts focus toward unseen realms and karmic undercurrents. Since Venus rules your 10th house, its movement into the 12th house suggests that professional matters may take on a more behind-the-scenes quality. Work-related activities may not always bring immediate recognition during this period, but they can contribute to long-term stability. You may find yourself working on projects quietly or away from the public eye. For some of you, this could indicate connections with foreign organizations, international opportunities, or involvement in industries related to hospitality, healing, spirituality, or art. The 12th house often relates to service-oriented professions, and Venus here can inspire you to consider how your work can contribute to the well-being of others, even if it does not always bring instant fame. On the financial front, the 12th house also represents expenditure, and with Venus transiting here, you may notice an increase in spending, especially on comforts, luxuries, travel, or beautification. You may feel tempted to indulge in pleasures that provide temporary satisfaction but strain your budget. The spending may not necessarily be wasteful. It could be directed towards spiritual practices, retreats, home improvements, or activities that bring peace of mind. Since Venus is your 10th lord, expenditures could also be linked to career-related investments, perhaps in skill development, professional expansion, or connections abroad. For some of you, financial outflows may relate to family needs or healthcare expenses, as the 12th house is connected with hospitals and healing. Relationships take on a sensitive dimension during this transit. Venus in the 12th often brings hidden emotions, private connections, or secret attractions into play. You may feel more withdrawn in matters of love or prefer privacy in your relationships. Long-distance or foreign connections may also become important. If you are married, you may experience moments of emotional distance from your partner, as the 12th house can create subtle barriers in intimacy. At the same time, Venus here also fosters deep compassion, and you may find yourself making sacrifices or adjustments in relationships for the sake of harmony. If you are single, this transit could open doors to spiritual or unconventional relationships, though clarity will be essential, especially because of the eclipses and other planetary alignments unfolding simultaneously. The surrounding planetary influences intensify this period. The Sun, your ruler, is transiting its own sign while conjunct Ketu, the south node of the Moon. This Sun-Ketu combination occurs in your first house, which makes it a deeply personal and transformative influence. The first house governs the self, identity, health, and overall life path. The conjunction here can bring feelings of detachment, a search for spiritual meaning, or confusion about your role and direction. Since the Sun represents vitality and ego, and Ketu signifies renunciation and spiritualization, you may feel your usual confidence dimming at times. Recognition or authority may feel elusive, or your health and energy may demand more attention. This influence can also guide you toward a deeper understanding of yourself, away from ego-based validation and into alignment with a higher purpose. Adding to this intensity is the total lunar eclipse on September 7th, occurring in Aquarius in your 7th house of partnerships and marriage. With the Moon and Rahu aligning in this sector, relationships and one-to-one interactions will be under a powerful spotlight. This eclipse may bring revelations or sudden changes in how you perceive your partner or partnerships. Issues of trust, dependence, or unspoken truths could come to the surface. For some of you, this may manifest as challenges or disruptions in personal or professional partnerships, while for others, it could bring sudden opportunities for growth through collaborations. Since Rahu amplifies desires and obsessions, you may also feel an intense craving for companionship, recognition, or validation through others. Balancing these impulses with the self-reflection encouraged by Sun, Ketu in your first house will be important. The combined energy of Venus in the 12th, Sun, Ketu in the 1st, and the eclipse in the 7th house creates a dynamic where you are pushed to re-examine your relationships, career direction, and personal identity. Venus in the 12th suggests that some sacrifices may be required, whether in relationships, finances, or ambitions, while the eclipses demand transformation and authenticity. Professionally, you may need to be cautious about secret dealings or hidden dynamics at work. Transparency will be key to maintaining trust and credibility. This could also be a period of planning rather than immediate execution, as the planetary alignments suggest a cycle of endings and beginnings. Health is another area that requires care during this time. With Venus in the 12th and Sun, Ketu in the 1st, you may experience fluctuations in energy, sleep disturbances, or stress-related issues. The 12th house is linked with rest and rejuvenation, and Venus here highlights the importance of relaxation, creative outlets, and spiritual practices. Engaging in meditation or healing therapies may provide both physical and emotional relief. Since eclipses often stir restlessness, Maintaining a steady routine and avoiding overindulgence will help you preserve balance. Venus in the 12th often inspires deeper exploration of art, music, or devotional practices as pathways to peace. The Sun, Ketu conjunction in your first house strips away attachments to superficial recognition, pushing you towards spiritual self-discovery. The lunar eclipse in your 7th house also reveals karmic patterns in relationships, teaching you valuable lessons about balance, compromise, and authenticity. You may find yourself drawn to solitude, spiritual study, or mystical practices during this period. The key is to use the heightened energies not as sources of confusion, but as opportunities for awakening. Overall, Venus's transit through your 12th house in September 2025 marks a deeply reflective phase, where career, finances, relationships, and self-identity intertwine with spiritual lessons. While Venus enhances compassion and private joys, the Sun, Ketu conjunction in your first house demands humility and introspection, and the lunar eclipse in your 7th house brings karmic shifts in partnerships. Professionally, this may be a time for behind-the-scenes work or international connections, while personally, it may highlight sacrifices and hidden emotional currents. By embracing self-awareness, balancing indulgence with discipline, and focusing on inner rather than outer validation, you can navigate this transformative period with wisdom and grace. For Virgo, the transit of Venus into Cancer marks an important phase, as Venus governs both your 9th house of fortune, higher wisdom, long-distance travel, and spiritual beliefs, as well as your 2nd house of wealth, family, values, and speech. As it moves through your 11th house of gains, social connections, aspirations, and fulfillment of desires, this transit activates a strong potential for prosperity, social support, and meaningful opportunities that may align with your larger life goals. Venus in Cancer is nurturing, sensitive, and emotionally expressive, which means that the way these gains and networks unfold for you will not be detached or purely material. Instead, you are likely to find that emotional satisfaction, care, and harmony with others play just as much of a role as financial or practical success. This period brings the chance to strengthen your bonds with friends and communities, to find encouragement for your ambitions, and to benefit from people who genuinely wish you well. Venus in the 11th house often enhances your ability to attract the right networks, mentors, and benefactors who can support your aspirations. Since Venus is also connected with wealth for you, there may be material rewards and financial benefits through social contacts, collaborative ventures, or group activities. This is a favorable time for expanding your social circles, joining organizations, or reconnecting with friends who can provide both inspiration and tangible opportunities. The 11th house is also connected with recognition and popularity, and with Venus there, your charm, grace, and diplomacy will be more visible. People may be drawn to your warmth and sensitivity, and you could find yourself more socially active than usual. At the same time, you may feel inspired to contribute more toward collective causes or to support others in their journey, as Venus in Cancer highlights compassion and empathy in group settings. Career matters are also influenced by this transit, since Venus governs your 9th house of fortune and sits in the house of gains. This can bring career advancements, recognition from superiors, or rewards for your past efforts. Projects or ventures that have been pending may now find support from the right people. Those in creative fields, public relations, arts, and professions involving counseling, nurturing, or design may particularly benefit during this phase. The influence of Venus here suggests that your professional aspirations are closely tied with relationships and collaborations rather than solitary effort. You may also experience blessings from teachers, guides, or people in higher positions who encourage your growth. International connections or long-distance opportunities may open doors for professional or personal expansion, as the 9th house influence of Venus ties together fortune and networks. Financially, this transit can be quite rewarding. Venus, as the ruler of your 2nd house of accumulated wealth moving into the 11th house of gains, indicates that efforts made in the past toward investments, savings, or ventures may now bear fruit. This is an excellent time to focus on both short-term and long-term financial planning. Gains may not come solely from your primary career but also through secondary sources, partnerships, or unexpected opportunities arising from your social circles. Since Venus is in Cancer, your spending may also lean toward family, comforts, and nurturing environments, so balancing income and expenditure will be important. Family support in financial matters may also show up, and there could be a sense of greater harmony in shared resources or family assets. Venus transiting your 11th house encourages happiness through togetherness. Friendships may become a source of comfort, and there could be emotional closeness with people who share your dreams and visions. Love and romance may also blossom in social settings or through mutual networks, as the 11th house often acts as a link between companionship and long-term bonds. If you are in a relationship, your partner may play an important role in supporting your ambitions or connecting you with beneficial opportunities. For singles, this period could bring someone special through your friend circle or social activities. Venus in Cancer tends to prioritize emotional depth, so any new relationship forming during this time may carry a sense of nurturing and care, rather than being purely superficial. The Sun conjunct Ketu in Leo, occurring in your 12th house, suggests that while Venus is highlighting gains, the Sun-Ketu conjunction may bring moments of introspection, detachment, or confusion regarding your spiritual direction, hidden fears, or subconscious patterns. You may feel a strong urge to retreat at times, even as you engage socially. The balance here is to allow moments of rest and solitude without letting them isolate you from the opportunities Venus is presenting. This is also eclipse season, with the total lunar eclipse on September 7th in Aquarius, taking place in your 6th house of work, health, and daily routines. This eclipse may bring sudden shifts in how you approach your work environment, your physical health, or conflicts with others. As eclipses tend to reveal hidden matters, you may need to pay close attention to issues involving stress, lifestyle, or disputes at work. Because Venus is simultaneously strengthening your 11th house, any temporary challenges around routine or health may be balanced by supportive networks and gains in other areas. Mercury, your chart ruler, will move through Cancer alongside Venus, which means that your ability to communicate effectively within groups and networks is heightened. On August 30th, Mercury enters Leo, your 12th house, which may momentarily turn your attention inward, prompting reflection and private thinking. But soon after, on September 15th, Mercury enters Virgo, your 1st house, in its exalted state. This is a highly empowering transit, bringing clarity of thought, sharp decision-making, confidence, and self-expression. Combined with Venus's blessings in the 11th, this can be a highly fruitful period for setting intentions, aligning your goals, and actively moving toward your ambitions with both charm and intelligence. Overall, the transit of Venus in Cancer into your 11th house is a time of opportunity, expansion, and fulfillment of desires for Virgo individuals. It brings gains in finances, emotional support through friendships and communities, and opportunities to advance in career and personal life. While the Sun-Ketu conjunction and the lunar eclipse may bring some moments of detachment and restructuring, Venus ensures that you are not left without guidance, support, or comfort. The strong activation of Mercury, your ruling planet, particularly as it enters exaltation in Virgo, adds to your confidence and ability to navigate this period successfully. This is a time when dreams can move closer to reality, provided you remain open to both giving and receiving support, while balancing introspection with active engagement in the world around you. For Libra, the transit of Venus into Cancer becomes one of the most pivotal movements of this period, as Venus is not just any planet for you but your sign lord and the ruler of the 8th house as well. With Venus moving into your 10th house of career, profession, status, and public recognition, the focus of your life shifts strongly towards how you are perceived in the outer world. This is a time when you may feel more ambitious and eager to enhance your image, not only in professional spaces but also in the social and public domain. Since Venus represents beauty, charm, and diplomacy, your natural qualities of grace and refined communication will be highlighted, making you more attractive in the workplace and more magnetic in how others perceive your authority. People may find themselves drawn to your presence, and opportunities can arise simply because of the way you carry yourself. With Venus also being the lord of the 8th house, this transit carries both blessings and lessons. The 8th house energies can sometimes bring hidden factors, sudden changes, or even power struggles, which means that while career advancement is possible, it may not come without its challenges or transformations. This transit could manifest as a period when you feel deeply compelled to redefine your professional goals. You may not want to continue with a monotonous job or environment that doesn't give you joy, even if it is secure. Venus in the 10th house urges you to pursue work that you can be passionate about, something where your creative and relational abilities can shine. At the same time, you may feel pressure to live up to public expectations, which could cause some inner conflict between doing what feels good for you and what is expected by others. The balance here will be important, as Venus's transit is reminding you that true professional fulfillment comes when both your inner self and outer obligations align. The presence of Sun conjunct Ketu in Leo during this period adds another dimension to your experience. The Sun represents authority, recognition, and leadership, while Ketu brings detachment, spirituality, and a sense of separation. This conjunction falls in your 11th house of gains, social networks, and aspirations. While Venus is working on enhancing your career standing, the Sun-Ketu energy in the House of Gains might make you feel a sense of disconnection from worldly achievements, even as they come your way. You might experience phases of questioning whether material success alone is truly fulfilling. Friendships, group associations, and networks may also undergo transformation, as Ketu tends to dissolve certain bonds that no longer serve your spiritual growth. This could leave you feeling both liberated and uncertain at times, as you reconsider who you wish to surround yourself with and what long-term goals truly resonate with your soul. Adding to this, the total lunar eclipse on September 7th takes place in Aquarius, your 5th house, where the moon joins Rahu. This eclipse carries significant energy for matters related to creativity, romance, children, and self-expression. With Rahu influencing the moon, emotions may feel heightened, and you could find yourself navigating sudden developments in love or personal projects. If you are in a romantic relationship, the eclipse may bring clarity about whether the bond is aligned with your long-term vision, or it could introduce unexpected situations that demand attention. For those pursuing creative work, inspiration may arrive in unusual forms, but so too may disruptions that push you to think outside the box. The connection between the eclipse in the 5th house and Venus in the 10th house suggests that your professional life and personal creative expression are directly linked at this time. You may feel compelled to infuse more creativity into your work, or you could gain recognition through projects that display your originality. Another important layer to this period is the transformative undertone of Venus as your 8th house ruler influencing the 10th house. The 8th house has to do with sudden changes, joint resources, hidden aspects, and rebirth-like transformations. This means that your career may undergo sudden shifts during this time. Perhaps unexpected opportunities open up, or you may face sudden obstacles that force you to rethink your path. Authority figures and superiors may act unpredictably, and this could challenge your patience. Venus's influence ensures that diplomacy and charm will help you navigate these changes more gracefully. In some cases, this transit can also point towards career growth through partnerships, joint ventures, or by dealing with matters related to finance, insurance, research, or healing professions. The 8th house energy is deeply investigative, so careers linked to psychology, occult sciences, or even finance and auditing could receive a boost. On a personal level, this transit also enhances your desire for recognition and validation. You may find yourself more conscious of how others view you and more invested in creating a strong reputation. Venus also teaches the lesson of balance, that appearances alone are not enough to build lasting success. With the eclipse and Ketu's involvement, there is a reminder that while external achievements are important, inner alignment and authenticity must not be neglected. Relationships with superiors, bosses, or authority figures could become central during this period, and it is important to handle these with tact and patience, as ego clashes may arise. Family matters may also intersect with your professional life. Since Venus rules your 1st house, your overall personality and approach to life are under focus. People may notice changes in your demeanor, perhaps a softer, more diplomatic approach, or alternatively, a stronger determination to be acknowledged. Your interactions with family could also be influenced by your career pursuits, as balancing home and work responsibilities becomes essential. Some Libra individuals may even find that a change in family circumstances directly impacts career decisions, especially since the 8th house rulership of Venus can sometimes bring unexpected events that shift priorities. Financially, this period can be mixed. With Venus activating the 10th house, opportunities for growth, increments, or recognition may be possible, but the 8th house influence could also bring unanticipated expenses, particularly related to family responsibilities, sudden repairs, or hidden costs. It would be wise to manage finances carefully and avoid unnecessary extravagance. The eclipse energy can create fluctuations in income or speculation, so caution is advised in matters of investments. Overall, Venus transiting your 10th house is a powerful period for Libra people to elevate their career, refine their public image, and embrace opportunities that enhance recognition. This is also a time of transformation, where hidden aspects of your professional life may come to the surface, and you are urged to align your ambitions with authenticity. The influence of Sun-Ketu in your 11th house and the lunar eclipse in your 5th house ensure that your goals, friendships, and creativity are also undergoing shifts, adding both challenges and breakthroughs to your journey. This is a month where you are called to balance ambition with inner truth, authority with humility, and worldly success with spiritual fulfillment. For Scorpio, the current period turns out to be a deeply karmic and reflective time as Venus, the planet of love, harmony, partnerships, and comforts, moves through your 9th house of higher wisdom, dharma, long-distance travel, and fortune. For you, Venus governs both the 7th house of relationships and partnerships as well as the 12th house of isolation, foreign lands, spiritual retreats, and expenses. This means that its transit in the 9th house is not just about external matters of luck or career expansion, but also about redefining your values and relationships, how you seek guidance from mentors, and the way you align your personal life with your philosophical beliefs. Venus here often encourages a harmonious relationship with teachers, guides, and authority figures, but since it carries the influence of the 12th house as well, there could be moments when you feel uncertain about the stability of those connections or even detached from them. In the professional domain, this Venus transit can be highly supportive, as the 9th house deals with fortune, opportunities, and recognition earned through merit. Many Scorpio individuals may find that career-related travels, international collaborations, or studies linked with their profession bring positive results now. Venus lends grace and diplomacy in dealings with authority figures, which could be particularly useful if you are negotiating contracts, discussing promotions, or seeking approval for a major project. Since Venus also governs your 7th house of business partnerships, this period may open the door for cooperative ventures with people from distant places or different cultural backgrounds. Because the 12th house is involved, there could also be hidden costs, misunderstandings, or delays in such collaborations, reminding you to remain cautious with legalities and fine print. Relationships come under significant focus with this transit. With Venus as your 7th lord moving into the 9th house, romantic partnerships, marriage, and even friendships may be influenced by questions of shared values, beliefs, and philosophies. You may find yourself drawn toward a partner who expands your worldview or encourages spiritual and intellectual growth. For those already in committed relationships, this is a period where discussions about higher purpose, family traditions, or even religious differences may surface. At times, clashes of opinion could test the harmony of your relationship, but Venus in the 9th also offers opportunities to resolve conflicts by finding common ground. For single Scorpio individuals, meeting someone through travel, higher education, or spiritual communities is a possibility. Yet the 12th house connection also suggests that secrecy or distance may play a role in relationships now, perhaps hidden feelings, or a connection that requires patience before it can be fully expressed. Financially, the 9th house is a supportive placement for Venus, as it can bring fortune through travel, education, or partnerships. Some of you may receive gains through spouse or partner, or from foreign sources of income. At the same time, the influence of the 12th house reminds you to be mindful of unnecessary expenses, especially those linked to luxuries, international transactions, or charitable activities. The desire to spend on travel, learning, or experiences that expand your worldview will be strong. While such expenses can be rewarding, impulsive spending should be avoided to maintain stability. This period also comes under the significant shadow of the Sun conjunct Ketu in Leo, which falls in your 10th house of career, reputation, and public image. The Sun represents authority, leadership, and recognition, while Ketu brings detachment, eclipse-like shadows, and spiritual lessons. Together, they can create moments of confusion, ego clashes, or a feeling of being undervalued in your professional life. You may experience a sudden detachment from career goals that once seemed important, or there could be hidden challenges in dealing with authority figures. For some Scorpio individuals, this may manifest as a lack of clarity about the right professional path. The conjunction urges you to release pride or rigid ego-based attachments in your work and instead align with a more spiritually guided approach. Since Venus is in your 9th house at the same time, you may discover that teachers, mentors, or spiritual practices help you navigate this career uncertainty. Adding further intensity is the total lunar eclipse on September 7th, which takes place in Aquarius, your 4th house of home, family, inner peace, and emotional foundations. This eclipse involves the moon, representing mind and emotions, and Rahu, the planet of obsession and amplification. For Scorpio individuals, this event may stir sudden developments in domestic life. Matters concerning property, real estate, or family dynamics may come to the forefront. You may feel a strong desire to break free from old emotional patterns or even move away from a restrictive home environment. Since Rahu exaggerates emotions, it's important not to make hasty decisions regarding home or family during this time. Instead, observe what truths are being revealed, as eclipses often bring hidden matters to the surface. Emotional turbulence may also affect your sense of stability, but with Venus in the 9th, turning to spiritual practices, philosophical wisdom, or even a trusted mentor could provide balance. Your ruling planet Mars adds another important layer of influence. Currently transiting Virgo in your 11th house, Mars emphasizes your ambitions, friendships, networks, and long-term gains. This placement fuels your drive to connect with influential people, build alliances, and actively pursue your dreams. You may feel more socially involved and willing to take leadership roles within your circles. Mars's energy can also create conflicts or competition in friendships or group projects if not managed carefully. On September 13th, Mars enters Libra, which is your 12th house. This shift can be both draining and transformative. The 12th house represents endings, isolation, and spiritual retreat. When Mars enters here, you may feel a pull towards solitude, introspection, or even foreign travel. At the same time, Mars in the 12th can create hidden enemies or sudden expenses, so caution is advised. For Scorpio individuals, this period may mark a time of preparation, where behind-the-scenes work, healing, or letting go of outdated habits sets the stage for greater achievements in the future. Taken together, this entire period marks a phase of transformation for you on multiple levels. Venus in the 9th encourages you to find harmony in beliefs, relationships, and long-term direction, while its dual rulership of the 7th and 12th brings both connection and detachment in love and partnerships. Sun conjunct Ketu in the 10th reminds you to realign your career path with your higher calling, even if it means letting go of old ego-driven ambitions. The lunar eclipse in Aquarius shakes up your emotional foundation and pushes you to redefine family and security on your terms. Finally, Mars's transition from Virgo to Libra shifts your energy from active pursuit of gains to a more contemplative, inward-looking phase. For Scorpio individuals who embrace change rather than resist it, this period can bring profound growth. Relationships can deepen through shared wisdom and patience, career paths can evolve toward more fulfilling directions, and personal life can be restructured for greater peace. Yet the key lies in balancing passion with patience, ambition with humility, and worldly pursuits with spiritual alignment. In doing so, you allow the energies of this complex time to guide you toward a more authentic and empowered future. For Sagittarius, Venus, the ruler of the 6th and 11th houses, will be transiting through the 8th house during this period, and this creates an intricate mix of energies that deeply influence different aspects of life. The 6th house stands for daily work, discipline, service, debts, health, and conflicts, while the 11th house relates to gains, ambitions, social circles, and fulfillment of desires. Venus carrying the energy of these houses into the 8th house of transformation, sudden changes, secrets, shared resources, and spiritual growth, means that this transit may bring situations that are both intense and revealing. The 8th house, being a place of depth, mystery, and sudden upheavals, rarely allows events to pass without teaching a deeper lesson. Venus here, instead of offering only charm, pleasure, and beauty, compels Sagittarius individuals to confront hidden aspects of their lives, particularly concerning relationships, financial matters, and spiritual awakening. It is a time when life may feel unpredictable, yet the experiences push you to evolve beyond superficial concerns. On a personal level, this Venus transit may stir emotions and desires that feel more intense than usual. The 8th house is not known for lighthearted interactions. It seeks depth, honesty, and intimacy. For those in committed partnerships, this may bring a phase where you and your partner explore deeper dimensions of your relationship, whether through shared financial planning, intimacy, or even uncovering past issues that were previously ignored. At the same time, Venus here can also cause complications in love life, such as misunderstandings, secrecy, or the surfacing of unresolved matters. Single Sagittarius individuals may find themselves drawn to unconventional relationships or people who bring transformative experiences, even if they come with challenges. Relationships during this transit can feel karmic, where you are forced to reevaluate what you truly value in love and commitment. Financially, Venus in the 8th highlights matters of joint assets, inheritance, debts, and loans. There may be gains through shared finances, investments, or your spouse's income, but the 8th house's unpredictable energy suggests that sudden expenses or financial fluctuations could also arise. It is wise for Sagittarius individuals to be cautious in financial dealings during this time, especially when it comes to investments or borrowing money. Hidden expenses may appear suddenly, and while there is a chance of sudden gains, there is also the risk of loss if decisions are made impulsively. This transit can also inspire you to plan long-term strategies for wealth and stability, as Venus here encourages transformation in how you manage and value money. Some may feel drawn toward researching deeper financial systems, insurance, taxes, or even alternative sources of income. From a career perspective, Venus transiting the 8th house can create mixed outcomes. Since Venus rules the 6th and 11th houses, its placement in the May 8th bring hidden opportunities connected with work and social connections. These opportunities may not be straightforward and could involve behind-the-scenes efforts or collaborative projects rather than individual recognition. For some Sagittarius individuals, workplace dynamics may become complicated, especially with colleagues or superiors, as the sixth house energy can also bring rivalries and competition. Yet, the presence of Venus can soften conflicts and even help you gain support from unexpected sources. Networking during this time may lead to alliances that appear sudden but have long-term significance. The 11th house's influence also suggests that while you may face delays in gains, persistence and patience could eventually open doors that lead to rewards. Spiritually and psychologically, this transit is extremely powerful for Sagittarius individuals. The 8th house governs transformation, mysteries, and the occult, and Venus brings a desire to find harmony and beauty even in the depths of change. Many individuals may feel drawn toward meditation, astrology, healing, or exploring esoteric subjects during this time. It is also a period when subconscious fears and hidden desires surface, giving you an opportunity to confront and heal them. If you resist change, this period can feel overwhelming, but if you embrace it, the transit offers a chance to release old patterns and grow. Sagittarius, being a sign naturally oriented toward higher wisdom and philosophy, may find this transit leading them to new insights about life, relationships, and purpose. The surrounding planetary influences intensify this period. The Sun conjunct Ketu in Leo brings themes of ego detachment, authority, and spiritual reorientation. For Sagittarius individuals, this combination activates the 9th house of Dharma, higher learning, and spiritual guidance, which strongly complements the transformative energy of Venus in the 8th. This suggests that the changes occurring now are not random but are aligned with your spiritual growth and higher destiny. The detachment from certain old beliefs or figures of authority may be necessary for you to expand into new realms of wisdom. The total lunar eclipse on September 7th, occurring in Aquarius with Moon and Rahu, activates your 3rd house of communication, courage, and immediate environment. This eclipse may disrupt communication patterns, bring sudden news, or create restlessness in how you connect with others. Combined with Venus in the 8th, the eclipse emphasizes that clarity and patience in communication are essential to avoid misunderstandings, especially in personal and financial dealings. Your ruling planet Jupiter is currently transiting Gemini, your 7th house of partnerships. This greatly intensifies the focus on relationships, both personal and professional, during this period. Jupiter in the 7th expands opportunities for meaningful connections, but with Venus in the 8th and the eclipse energies, these connections may bring transformation and sometimes challenges that require maturity to navigate. Jupiter ensures that even through difficulties, the ultimate aim is growth and wisdom. Partnerships formed now may play a pivotal role in your personal development and spiritual journey. Health matters should not be ignored during this time. With Venus ruling the 6th house and transiting the 8th, underlying health concerns may surface. It is important to pay attention to diet, digestion, and reproductive health. Stress levels may also increase due to emotional intensity, so practices that bring balance, such as meditation or spending time in nature, are recommended. The 8th house often pushes one to confront hidden imbalances, and while this can feel uncomfortable, it is ultimately healing if approached with awareness. Overall, Venus transiting the 8th house for Sagittarius individuals is a period of deep transformation, especially in the realms of relationships, finances, and growth. It may not always feel smooth or predictable, but the experiences are aligned with pushing you toward greater maturity, understanding, and spiritual depth. With the support of Jupiter's wisdom in your 7th house and the shifts brought by the Sun-Ketu conjunction and lunar eclipse, this period challenges you to let go of superficial patterns and embrace the deeper truths of life. By the end of this transit, you may find yourself with a renewed perspective on love, wealth, and purpose, stepping into a more profound connection with yourself and others. For Capricorn, the transit of Venus into Cancer is a highly significant event because Venus governs 2 of the most important houses in your chart, the 5th house of romance, creativity, children, and intelligence, and the 10th house of career, authority, recognition, and professional achievements. With Venus moving into your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, and business associations, the influence of this transit will strongly revolve around commitments, collaborations, and how you balance personal desires with shared responsibilities. Since Venus here directly aspects your 1st house, it enhances your charm, diplomacy, and magnetism, drawing more attention from others in both professional and personal life. The impact of this Venus transit does not operate in isolation. It is shaped by the larger astrological backdrop, including the Sun-Ketu conjunction in Leo, the total lunar eclipse in Aquarius on September 7th, and Saturn's retrograde in Pisces. Together, these planetary movements create a phase of transformation, tests, and growth for you. Relationships and marriage will be one of the most activated areas during this Venus transit. Being the natural significator of love and harmony, Venus in your 7th house enhances your desire for companionship, intimacy, and balance in relationships. If you are married, you may find renewed affection and closeness with your spouse, as Venus encourages a softer, more understanding approach to conflicts. Since Venus also rules your 10th house, there can be situations where work pressures interfere with relationship harmony, requiring you to carefully balance professional responsibilities and domestic life. If you are single, this period may bring new opportunities for romantic connections, often through professional networks or social gatherings. The presence of Venus in this position also makes arranged marriages or proposals more likely to manifest during this transit. Still, with the Sun conjunct Ketu in Leo, hidden issues around power struggles, ego, or differing long-term visions in relationships could surface, requiring you to avoid rigid expectations and practice emotional maturity. On the career front, Venus's rulership of your 10th house makes this transit deeply influential for professional growth. Venus in your 7th house supports partnerships, collaborations, and teamwork. You may find yourself entering joint ventures, signing business contracts, or engaging in negotiations that could shape your career direction. This is a favorable time to cultivate alliances with colleagues, mentors, or organizations that share similar values. The total lunar eclipse on September 7th in Aquarius, which occurs in your 2nd house of wealth, speech, and family, may temporarily disrupt financial stability or create sudden changes in income sources. It suggests that while partnerships and collaborations can be fruitful, they may also bring financial uncertainties if not handled carefully. This calls for transparency in agreements and avoiding impulsive commitments. Creativity and intelligence, represented by Venus as the 5th house ruler, will also shine during this period, influencing both your career and relationships. You may be drawn towards artistic or creative pursuits, and if you work in fields involving design, beauty, fashion, art, or media, you may experience enhanced opportunities. Even if you are in a more traditional profession, your creative problem-solving and diplomatic communication will bring success. Since Venus is also associated with luxury and refinement, you may be tempted to invest in comforts, home improvements, or lifestyle enhancements for yourself and your partner. Given the eclipse energy and Saturn's retrograde, it is wise to avoid extravagant spending and instead focus on investments that create long-term stability. Family dynamics may also undergo shifts during this Venus transit. Since Venus rules your 5th house of children, matters related to children's education, well-being, or personal milestones may demand attention. If you are a parent, you may spend more time nurturing and supporting your children's growth, while those hoping for childbirth may find this period more conducive, provided other planetary periods are supportive. On the other hand, the Sun, Ketu conjunction in Leo, which occurs in your 8th house, indicates sudden emotional triggers or the surfacing of past unresolved issues within family or marital life. These could revolve around shared assets, inheritance, or hidden family matters. While Venus encourages harmony, Ketu demands detachment and may create moments where you feel emotionally disconnected. The key here lies in recognizing when to let go of control and when to focus on nurturing bonds. Venus as the 10th and 5th lord does bring opportunities for financial gains through career advancements, speculative ventures, or partnerships, but the eclipse in your 2nd house warns against impulsive decisions in savings, investments, or family-related expenditures. You should avoid risky financial moves and instead focus on creating security. With Saturn retrograding in Pisces, which falls in your 3rd house, there is an astrological reminder that effort, patience, and perseverance in communication, networking, and skill building are what will ultimately create sustainable growth. Saturn here pushes you to carefully evaluate how you use your speech, written words, or communication in professional and personal settings, reminding you that true progress comes through discipline. Until September 13th, Mars is in Virgo, which is your 9th house of fortune, dharma, and higher learning, encouraging travel, expansion, and philosophical growth. This placement supports professional opportunities, international connections, or educational pursuits. Once Mars enters Libra on September 13th, moving into your 10th house, the career sphere becomes much more dynamic and action-driven. Mars in the 10th house will bring drive, ambition, and competitive energy, but when combined with Venus's influence, it can also create a tug-of-war between assertiveness and diplomacy. You may find yourself juggling between taking bold initiatives and maintaining harmony in professional relationships. The balance between these two forces will determine whether you rise through collaboration or face resistance in your workplace. Health is another important area of focus during this transit. With Venus in your 7th house, lifestyle habits may come under review, especially since Venus rules indulgence and comfort. The eclipse energy and Saturn's retrograde may create fluctuations in energy levels, digestive health, or stress caused by balancing multiple responsibilities. You should be mindful of overindulgence in food, drink, or luxury and instead maintain moderation. Partnerships may also influence your health, meaning that the habits of a spouse or partner could indirectly affect your own well-being. Overall, Venus's transit through Cancer in your 7th house marks a transformative period, emphasizing relationships, partnerships, and collaborations while intertwining with career progress, family life, and financial matters. With the Sun, Ketu conjunction bringing hidden truths to light, the lunar eclipse challenging financial stability, and Saturn's retrograde reminding you of the importance of effort and discipline, you are being called to cultivate balance between personal desires and shared responsibilities. This is a time to nurture harmony in relationships, approach your career with creativity and diplomacy, and avoid impulsive decisions in financial or emotional matters. For Aquarius, when Venus, the planet of harmony, relationships, beauty, and prosperity, transits the 6th house, the energy becomes deeply tied to themes of work, service, discipline, daily routines, and health. This is a transit that blends Venusian grace with the practical, sometimes challenging, sphere of the 6th house. For Aquarius individuals, Venus rules both the 4th house of home, family, inner peace, and emotional security, as well as the 9th house of fortune, higher learning, spirituality, and long-distance travels. With this combination, the transit highlights how domestic matters and higher aspirations connect with daily responsibilities, work-life balance, and the pursuit of harmony in practical areas of life. This period is not about instant pleasures but about learning how to find grace and comfort even in the midst of discipline and duties. One of the key aspects of this transit is that Venus, being a natural benefic, softens the harsh edges of the 6th house, which traditionally deals with conflicts, debts, diseases, and challenges. During this time, Aquarius people may find that disputes, whether in personal or professional life, can be handled more tactfully. Venus brings a diplomatic touch, allowing you to resolve conflicts with charm rather than confrontation. Because the 6th house also represents competition, you may find yourself in environments where others challenge your skills, ideas, or authority. Rather than causing friction, Venus encourages you to approach such situations with balance, using negotiation and fairness as tools of success. This can be a time when hidden rivals reveal themselves, but instead of hostility, you have the opportunity to transform those dynamics into constructive outcomes. From a career perspective, this transit can bring both opportunities and pressures. The 6th house relates to employment, colleagues, and service to others, so Venus here may bring a more cooperative atmosphere at work. Teamwork can be smoother, and there is potential for assistance from female colleagues or those in creative roles. Since Venus rules 9th house, there can be fortunate events that positively shape your professional life, though not without effort. For some Aquarius individuals, this may manifest as mentorship or guidance from someone in authority who helps you navigate career challenges. Still, Venus in the 6th is not a placement that guarantees effortless progress. It calls for consistency, adaptability, and the willingness to refine your work ethic. Rewards will follow steady effort, and you may even find joy in improving routines or creating beauty in your workspace. Financially, Venus in the 6th often points toward expenses linked with home, health, or work-related matters. Since Venus rules your 4th house, issues related to real estate, vehicles, or property maintenance may demand expenditure during this period. Some Aquarius individuals may invest in beautifying their homes or making improvements that enhance their sense of comfort. At the same time, because Venus also governs your 9th house of fortune, there can be unexpected gains through inheritance, family support, or assistance from distant relatives. The placement in the 6th suggests that these benefits may also come with responsibilities or obligations attached. Careful financial planning is essential, particularly around debts, loans, or shared financial commitments. Health is another important theme during this transit. The 6th house directly governs health and wellness, and Venus here can bring both opportunities for healing and tendencies toward indulgence. On one hand, this period supports adopting a healthier lifestyle, paying attention to diet, and cultivating routines that support mental and emotional balance. On the other, Venus's influence can sometimes tempt you into overindulgence in food, sweets, or comforts, which may create health imbalances. It is essential for Aquarius individuals to remain disciplined, especially as Saturn, your ruling planet, is retrograding in Pisces. Saturn's retrograde emphasizes the need for responsibility, self-discipline, and karmic adjustments, particularly regarding finances and health. If you neglect these areas, the retrograde can magnify issues, but if you take care, it can help you establish long-lasting positive habits. Relationships under this transit may face subtle challenges as well as opportunities for growth. With Venus in the 6th, themes of duty, service, and compromise take focus. Married Aquarians may find that the relationship requires adjustments in daily life, whether through shared household responsibilities, caregiving, or reconciling differences in routines. Since Venus governs the 9th house, relationships may also involve spiritual or philosophical growth. Some may feel drawn to serve or support their partners in new ways, while others may encounter small irritations in relationships that require patience and tact. For those who are single, love could blossom through workplace connections, collaborations, or environments tied to service and health. It may not be an overly glamorous period for romance, but it does encourage genuine and practical bonds. Adding to the complexity of this period is the Sun, Ketu conjunction in Leo, which occurs in your 7th house of partnerships and marriage. This conjunction can cast a shadow on relationships, creating feelings of detachment or uncertainty in matters involving your spouse, business partners, or even close friendships. Ketu's influence often brings a sense of spiritual withdrawal, where you may feel less connected or questioning the purpose of certain bonds. Combined with Venus in the 6th, this period emphasizes the need to balance practicality and emotional connection in partnerships. Misunderstandings may surface, especially if either partner feels neglected due to work pressures or daily obligations. The key lies in maintaining clarity, humility, and mutual respect in your interactions. The total lunar eclipse on September 7th in Aquarius adds another layer of intensity. Falling in your 1st house, this eclipse brings focus to self-identity, personal goals, and how you are perceived by others. With the moon joined Rahu, there may be emotional turbulence, feelings of restlessness, or a strong desire to break free from old patterns. Since Venus is simultaneously transiting your 6th house, the eclipse highlights the need to balance self-care with service to others. This can feel overwhelming at times, but it also provides an opportunity for deep transformation. The eclipse can push you to reconsider your priorities, your sense of individuality, and how you integrate your personal aspirations with the demands of work, health, and relationships. With Venus ruling your 9th house of higher wisdom, its presence in the 6th suggests that spiritual lessons may come through service, discipline, or the resolution of conflicts. Acts of compassion, charity, or volunteering may feel particularly rewarding during this period. It can also be a time when you encounter spiritual teachers or philosophies that reshape your outlook on life. Overall, Venus's transit through the 6th house for Aquarius individuals is a time of balancing grace with responsibility. It encourages you to refine your work routines, take charge of your health, and handle relationships with diplomacy. While the Sun, Ketu conjunction, and lunar eclipse bring moments of emotional intensity, they also provide opportunities for growth, self-realization, and transformation. The combined influence of Venus, Saturn's retrograde, and the eclipse energy pushes you to harmonize the mundane with the spiritual, ensuring that your service to others does not come at the cost of self-neglect. If you remain grounded, disciplined, and open to inner transformation, this period can bring lasting benefits and lay the foundation for greater stability in your life. For Pisces, the transit of Venus into Cancer, your 5th house of creativity, children, romance, and self-expression, opens a highly influential period where matters of the heart, intellect, and inspiration are brought into the spotlight. Venus governs your 3rd house of communication, effort, and courage, as well as your 8th house of transformation, secrets, shared resources, and sudden changes. When this planet of love, beauty, and harmony moves into the 5th house, its energy begins to merge these areas of life, creating opportunities for new beginnings in love, deepening connections with children, engaging with artistic pursuits, and exploring creative outlets that bring joy. At the same time, because the 8th house rulership of Venus, there may be undertones of intensity, secrecy, or transformative experiences linked to these themes, making the period emotionally enriching but at times unpredictable. The 5th house is naturally associated with joy, self-expression, speculative gains, and romance, and Venus here tends to heighten one's desire to experience pleasure and creativity. For those involved in artistic, literary, or performance fields, this transit can spark inspiration, helping you produce work that appeals to the heart and imagination of others. Even if you are not directly involved in artistic professions, you may feel drawn to hobbies, music, or activities that allow you to express yourself more fully. Communication, represented by Venus's rulership of your 3rd house, plays a strong role now, which can make you more expressive in both love and creativity. You may find yourself more inclined to share ideas, write, speak, or create content that has emotional appeal and depth. romantic matters come into strong focus during this period. Venus in the 5th house enhances attraction, charm, and the possibility of new love experiences. For single Pisces individuals, this can be a time when a romantic connection enters your life unexpectedly, perhaps through a creative pursuit, social circle, or even while traveling. The 8th house rulership of Venus suggests that these connections may carry an element of secrecy, intensity, or karmic undertones. For those already in relationships, this transit encourages more playfulness and bonding with your partner, but it also brings a need to address deeper issues that might have been hidden beneath the surface. There may be a desire to rekindle passion, but also moments where old insecurities or power dynamics arise. Balancing love as a source of joy while not letting it become emotionally overwhelming will be important. Children are another important theme during this period, as the 5th house rules offspring. For those who are parents, Venus here may bring opportunities for greater bonding, shared activities, or reasons to feel proud of your children's accomplishments. At the same time, the 8th house influence of Venus can bring intense emotions regarding children, such as concerns about their well-being, education, or future direction. If you have been planning to expand your family, this transit could open the door to discussions about conception, though with the eclipse energy also active, timing will be important. For others, interactions with children may simply highlight lessons of patience, joy, and unconditional love. Speculation and financial risks also fall under the domain of the 5th house. With Venus present here, you may feel tempted to take risks in areas such as investments, trading, or gambling, drawn by the prospect of sudden gains. Because Venus also rules your 8th house, such ventures can easily swing toward volatility or loss if not handled with caution. This is not a period to take blind risks, but rather to use creativity and strategy to make decisions. Investments in areas related to Venus, arts, design, luxury, or beauty, may bring returns, but only if approached with a disciplined mindset. The surrounding planetary influences intensify this period. The Sun conjunct Ketu in Leo occurs in your 6th house of work, service, debts, and health, which suggests that during this Venus transit you may also feel a sense of detachment or confusion regarding daily responsibilities and routines. The Sun represents authority, while Ketu creates detachment, so this combination can sometimes result in a lack of recognition at the workplace or a feeling that your efforts are not being fully acknowledged. Since Venus activates your creativity and heart space in the 5th, there may be a tension between focusing on your passions versus handling mundane duties. This alignment teaches you that true growth lies in integrating your passions into your responsibilities, rather than neglecting one for the other. Another profound influence comes from the total lunar eclipse on September 7th, which occurs in Aquarius, your 12th house, where the moon will conjoin Rahu. The 12th house represents isolation, spirituality, foreign lands, hidden matters, and subconscious patterns. This eclipse directly impacts your inner world, possibly leading to sudden realizations or emotional shifts that feel overwhelming at first but ultimately help you release past baggage. Since Venus is in the 5th house at this time, the eclipse may bring revelations about love, creativity, or children that connect back to subconscious fears or hidden desires. You may feel compelled to release attachments or illusions in order to move toward more authentic expressions of joy and love. For some, this may involve endings in a romantic or creative chapter, while for others it could spark a period of spiritual awakening that changes how you view pleasure and fulfillment. Saturn, currently retrograding in your 1st house, is asking you to redefine your identity, priorities, and long-term path. This introspective influence means you may feel heavier responsibilities weighing on you, but it also allows you to refine how you present yourself to the world. With Venus lighting up your 5th house, Saturn reminds you that while joy and love are important, they need to be built on a foundation of discipline and authenticity. There may be moments where your desire for pleasure or romance clashes with the need for self-discipline and responsibility. Saturn retrograde is teaching you to commit to what truly matters, stripping away distractions that do not align with your higher goals. Pisces Lord Jupiter is also transiting Gemini, your 4th house of home, family, and emotional security. This placement of Jupiter highlights expansion in domestic matters, relationships with parents, or even real estate. When viewed alongside Venus in the 5th, this creates a dynamic interplay between your need for personal joy and your desire for emotional stability at home. Jupiter in Gemini brings variety and curiosity into your private life, while Venus encourages expression and connection outside of it. This can manifest as juggling responsibilities between family commitments and personal pleasures, yet it can also inspire creative pursuits from home or with family support. Altogether, this period is one of emotional richness, creative opportunities, and karmic lessons for Pisces individuals. Venus in the 5th house brings charm, love, and artistic inspiration, yet its rulership of the 8th house ensures that transformation and depth cannot be avoided. The Sun, Ketu conjunction highlights the balance between passion and duty, while the lunar eclipse opens the gateway to spiritual and emotional release. Saturn retrograde continues to shape your identity with seriousness, and Jupiter provides the grounding force of home and emotional growth. If navigated with awareness, this period can become a transformative chapter, where you rediscover the joy of creation, deepen your understanding of love, and align your heart's desires with your soul's long-term journey. As we conclude this episode, please keep in mind that these insights are based on the sidereal zodiac system used in Vedic astrology, which differs from the tropical system by approximately 24 degrees. These are general predictions, and outcomes will vary depending on your individual birth chart. The influence of transits is deeply shaped by your ongoing dasha periods and the specific placement of planets in your natal chart. What may be a time of progress for one person could mark a period of reflection or challenge for another. This is why it's essential to interpret transits within the context of your unique chart. If you're seeking a more personalized understanding of how current transits may impact you, or if you have specific questions about your birth chart, feel free to reach out to us. If you found this content helpful, please consider liking the video, sharing it with others who may benefit, and subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss future updates. Thank you for watching. We look forward to continuing to share deeper astrological insights with you. Until next time, stay aware, keep learning, and keep shining bright.